The first and foremost for me is to understand that business leaders as well as world leaders and have something to do together to help mitigating and adapting to climate change. So the hybrid model, putting together public and private, is part of the solution, and we need more of the solution bringers to the table so we can scale up and speed up. So that's for me the first lesson from those COPs.
But people talk a lot about the role of the public finances and how they can get to this $100 million a year which they haven't provided in climate finance. But I can't help thinking actually it's the public sector should be more facilitators for the private sectors, set the rules in place and unleash the private sector. Is COP doing that?
It's not only COP, but COP is the global framework for legislation which are usually more, like a country by country or block by block basis. But we need a framework, a legal framework for companies to thrive and then to have an incentive to develop the solution, to innovate and to bring their efficiency type of model of thinking and technologies to the table so we can develop new solutions and implement the one we already have. And when I talk solution about adaptation and mitigation, such as, for instance, to save water, to recycle water, to recycle other stuff, or to bring a new type of energy onto the table. So we need all that.
What does that legal framework look like as well? We know that there are some very in-depth conversations that started in Glasgow, carried on in Sharm el-Sheikh, and now hopefully we can see some progress on. One thing that even at Le Bourget in 2015 when I was there that we talked about was the price of carbon. Are we finally going to get some meat on the bones of the price for carbon on a global basis?
So to start with what I expect, and then to your question, what I expect would be that we would have a global framework and trajectory on methane reduction. That would be my number one wish for this COP. In terms of the COP we've seen before, carbon price has gone into being more spread around the globe. In the EU, actually the price of carbon is around 90 euros per ton now, and it has made possible for companies to invest in decarbonization projects because it saves CO2 and therefore money, and it makes good business sense. So getting out of coal, for instance, in Europe makes good business sense.
In terms of methane, it's very interesting you should mention that again, and I thoroughly expect something to be announced on that, but will it be announced and have more credibility because the oil and gas companies are here? I know that the oil and gas companies call themselves energy companies now, they've reinvented themselves, but even Mr. Pouyanné and others will have to admit that they're still mostly invested in oil and gas. The fact that they are invited to this meeting, does it change the dynamic on methane?
I think, everybody in a way needs to be around the table, and I'm not here to say, you have the good and the bad. We need everybody to help the trajectory to go down and to decarbonize. I think the agenda is not only about what can be done to finance the green, but what can be done to finance the greening, if you want, as in, like a help decarbonization agenda, as opposed to only what's already zero carbon. And in a way, the more you invest in the solution, the happier everybody will be because it will help. And maybe we should invent a measure of that. Not only, as you know, we measure carbon trajectory by scope 1, 2, and 3, but I think we should invent a scope 4, which would be about the effort and the measure of the effort to have the trajectory go down. That would put the money into the right pockets of decarbonization.
The money is always contentious, and countries such as India and a lot of other emerging nations have always said it's great that you promise this, but you don't deliver. That is a very fair criticism, isn't it, on the level of delivery compared with the promises. Do we need more strenuous checks and balances to call out countries and individual nations that don't deliver what they promised?
I guess the first thing is not only to promise, you're right, but to deliver. But the delivery comes into real projects on a day-to-day basis. So my suggestion would be, as opposed to ask for more commitment, ask for more projects and more real things and more examples, and to scale up and speed up. So to go for more concrete, local-based solution as well, and to have a little bit of a bottom-up approach as much as the top-down we're talking here.
Yeah.
And I guess, it goes into the strategic autonomy of countries, because the more you create local source of energy, the more you recycle, the more you adapt to climate change and save water, the more you are independent. So I guess in today's world where the geopolitical crises are paramount, I think the strategic autonomy which brings ecological transformation can be very key for everybody.
Estelle, you just mentioned about asking for more. I'm going to ask you for more now. What more can Veolia do itself? What can you do as the leader of that company to push even further? I know you've done a lot, and I've been watching your Let's Turn the Tide about water in different parts of the world, in the Middle East as well. But what more can you do?
I agree that we always can do more, and we will. We are already very much involved in decarbonation of our customers as much as our own trajectory, and we will do more, as much as adaptation to climate change, and this is about the water agenda. 14 million tons of carbon, that's what we've helped our customers save last year only. And I'm very proud of this figure, and of course I want it to climb and to go up again. And in terms of water, we've helped save 320 million cubic meters of water last year only, which is the equivalent of the consumption of Singapore, just by what we do. And I want those figures to go up. And that's how I measure the success of my company, by this positive impact we have on the planet. And you're right, we can and we will do more.